These past 12 months have been the most challenging and stressful in our shared history. Many of us have battled with depression, worry, grief, or loneliness from months of isolation. Home entertainment has played a key part in adjusting to the lockdowns, and many people have turned to gaming as a way through these tough times. I've played a lot of games in the past year, but I find there's no better escape than into the world of The Sims. I have been playing The Sims since the series launched in 2000. Now at this point in the video, I had hoped to show you actual gameplay footage from the earlier games. My original copies have been lost to time, so I bought The Sims 1 and 2 again from eBay, ready for this video. I spent the best part of 2 days attempting to get them to work. I have tried every patch and every solution I could find online. I even did a reg edit, but nothing worked. My PC is pretty high spec, and I presume we've now gone past the point where we can play these old games, which is a real shame as I was so excited to play them again. Instead, I'm having to use trailers over this section, so please excuse that. For anyone who never played the original games, they were a lot of fun, but they were definitely of their time. Graphics have improved a lot since then. Thankfully, The Sims 3 is still supported by EA and Windows, so this next footage is my own gameplay. It was actually really weird going back, as I haven't played The Sims 3 in many years. A lot had changed by the time we got the third incarnation of The Sims. The biggest thing being seamless neighbourhoods. Once inside the world, there were no loading screens. Go wherever you want, look around, zoom in, interact. Apart from a few slow renders, it flowed pretty well. At least it did at first, but we'll come back to that later. We had cars, or at least The Sims did. Need to go to the shop? Get there in no time using your brand new sports car or bike. Continuous story progression was also introduced, adding further to that sense of realism. There were so many upgrades and quality of life additions. The Sims 3 was a huge leap forward for the franchise. The same format, massively improved. Or Simproved. A little shout out there to another Sims YouTuber. But this slicker and more impressive experience was the victim of its own success. Each new expansion brought with it a wealth of new content, which gradually over time brought the entire game to its knees. More content needs more processing power, and when you have seamless neighbourhoods, most PCs at the time couldn't render that amount of detail needed to run the game. Players were having to remove expansion packs just to get the base game working again, which was a huge problem for users and for EA, who were still churning out new content. So it really was no surprise that when The Sims 4 launched in 2014, the seamless neighbourhoods were gone, as were cars, but bikes made a welcome return, eventually at least. For some, the omission of these features angered them, as they felt it was a step backwards. Personally, I understood why EA had to do it. I miss being able to zoom out and see the world I create moving below me, but there are a lot of pieces in these games, and I'd much rather have a short loading screen than lagging or frozen gameplay. On the plus side was the huge boost in graphics and the more realistic looking Sims. Not that there was much to do in the early days of The Sims 4 though. The base game was severely lacking in a lot of areas, especially gameplay, and we had to wait 2 full years until we had enough content to keep players, well, content. Get to Work was the first DLC, then Get Together, but it wasn't until City Living launched in 2016 did the game, at least for me, feel complete enough to immerse yourself in. On top of the main releases were also game and stuff packs, which added retreats and dining and opportunities, along with stuff to place in your homes and gardens. Of course, all of these much needed additions came at a cost, and over time, that meant a lot of money was being spent on this one game. In the past, I've always bought 1 or 2 Sims expansions, but with The Sims 4, I have almost all of them. This is the power of The Sims 4. It may not be perfect, and we may all want different aspects to change or be expanded upon, but there is enough here to keep us coming back time after time. Much more than any other game in the series, for me at least. I know there is a very active Sims 3 was better camp, and that's cool, we all have our favourites. For me, The Sims 4 allows me to create in a way that the others didn't. The only expansions I'm missing now are Spa Day and a few stuff packs. Oops, no, scratch that, I just bought Spa Day. Ooh, massage beds and calming music. Okay, so I just have a few stuff packs left to buy, including Paranormal, which is next on my list. Do you know, I dread to think how much I've spent. It's a bit like playing Pokemon, but in this case, I gotta have them all. This is a great business model for EA, yet I never feel shortchanged. I still get excited about all the expansions. Well, maybe not knitting. But I get a buzz when playing them, seeing the new maps and what's on offer in each new pack. There are only 2 games I have ever played which have me going back to play for hundreds of hours each year. The first is World of Warcraft, and the second is The Sims 4. When I need to relax or escape for a bit, this is where I go. I feel comforted and excited by it, no matter how many times I've logged in. And for each new expansion, I'll make new characters and spend a lot of time playing with the new items and gameplay. I loved Strangerville. I know this wasn't very popular, but I wish they would do more linear story arcs in The Sims. Combining life simulator with storytelling is the way forward, in my humble opinion. Similarly, I enjoyed exploring through Jungle Adventure on quite a few expeditions. Get Famous was surprising, as I didn't think I would like that DLC at all, and yet I was blown away with the amount of content and what it had to offer. And I thought Eco Lifestyle was brilliantly designed and implemented. I'd also like to give a shout out to Tiny Living. Stuff packs aren't usually that exciting, but this small expansion had a lot to give. But there is no other DLC that has gotten me playing more than Island Living. Sulani is by far my favourite world. The houses, the golden beaches, clear swimmable water, even the music, everything about it makes my brain drool at the thought of one day living on an island paradise just like this. I have spent so many hours building on Sulani, from chic and tiny homes with private beaches to the biggest plot of land dedicated to my dream home. If I could live anywhere in the world, it would be here. I've even been scouting out Polynesian islands on Google Maps. For the past 12 months, my husband and I have not left our small, cramped, one-bedroom apartment at all, and the view from our window is of a wall. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was using Google Maps quite often, sweeping over the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, the aforementioned tropical islands, and hovering over my family homes, just to reminisce and remember. This progressed to me watching first-person videos of tours over the Alps or train journeys through Germany. But nothing puts you into the picture like gaming. And whereas open-world adventures give you beautiful vistas, you are also tied into the narrative of those games. For true immersion, The Sims is the perfect escape. Want to go camping in the woods? Don't forget your tent. Fancy swimming in the sea? Here's a snorkel. Snowboarding, learning magic, dating vampires, or even visiting Batu and living out your Star Wars fantasies. I know that's triggering for some people, please get over it. You got your knitting and laundry days, let us geeks have some fun. It must be the writer in me, but every time I play, I have a storyline in my head for the characters I create. For a good example of this, check out my Let's Play videos on Eco Living. I'll link it in the top right where the cards are. I made a whole series of live videos for Pride Month last year, and then my PC died and I had to stop recording. There are quite a few of them though. At Christmas last year, I got Snowy Escape, but I didn't have time to play it until recently. I've been so excited to enter the new world, but I also wanted my character to live his life before getting there. I set him up in a base game home and enrolled him in university. He's been learning, making new friends, and getting straight A's. Once he finished uni, he went travelling, and that's when I could start the new expansion. I'm still in the midst of it all at the moment, and really enjoying it. I've built him a house. It's my first one in the land, so it's not great, but it's my first build, and I'm loving all the Asian-inspired items. My husband is Singaporean, so there's a lot I recognise in this pack. The Sims is a game, a simulation and a travel vlog all rolled into one, and can be played and enjoyed by anyone at any age and in any way they want. How many games can you say that about? It has been my saviour during the pandemic, and I still get a buzz of excitement when playing. A game that allows me to scratch that creative itch in a fun and friendly setting. Compare this with Animal Crossing, which I played last year and really enjoyed for a while, But after a few months, it started to become really repetitive and restrictive in what I could do. I stopped playing and never went back. In The Sims 4, I'm still finding new things to see and do now, and I never get bored. But that's also a testament to the huge and highly active community. If you get to the end of an expansion's content and are looking for things to do, there are millions of mods online that can massively change the game up. New outfits, hair, bodies, buildings, worlds, even map overlays. If you're just getting into mods, there are some great ones out there. Just be careful what you wish for. Some can help you skip through certain life stages or events, or boost learning capabilities, which can be really helpful. Just know when to limit yourself. The Sims is a life simulator, and if you're no longer simulating life, then you're denying yourself a huge part of the experience. It's fun to guide a character through their life and see how they interact with different people, how relationships are formed and lost, and what they experience. You know, like in real life. You remember that thing we all used to have. Another part of The Sims is building. I love building. It's so easy and intuitive. Whenever I play anything that has building elements, my benchmark is The Sims. If it's not as good, and it rarely is, then it turns me off that game. I'm suddenly reminded of that awful house building in Fallout 4. Ugh, that was terrible. In The Sims, you have the ability to not only create houses, shops, restaurants, and now spas, you can also share them with the community and download other players' epic builds. Then there's Create a Sim, or CAS, which just keeps getting better and better, and I can spend hours creating a new family or group of friends to play. And you can share these with the community as well. The icing on the cake is the music. Soundtracks have always played a big part in The Sims. You spend a good portion of your time building or creating, with music as the only background sound, so it has to be nothing short of excellent, and it really has been throughout the entire franchise. I still listen to the Medieval soundtrack on Spotify, and that's from The Sims 1. Not that I can play the game anymore, of course. Sims 4 probably has my favourite soundtrack though, with the Vampires expansion being the absolute best of them all. I would have played a sample for you there, but I was slapped with copyright infringement, so I can't. But if you do have the expansion, give it a listen. There's just something so enticing and evocative about the composition, and I never tire of hearing it. In fact, the only soundtrack I'm not a huge fan of is the University DLC from Sims 4, but that's just because it's sports themed and I'm not into sports at all. After the release of The Sims 1, it took 4 years for us to get The Sims 2. 5 years later, The Sims 3 launched, and another 5 years for The Sims 4. 2021 marks the 7th anniversary for the 4th release in the franchise. That's a long time. There's been a lot of chatter over the past few years, but will we get The Sims 5 this year? There's actually a strong possibility. There have been quite a few hints and leaks online in the past year, so we know it's coming, it's just a matter of when. Personally, I'm really excited to see what The Sims 5 has to offer. Will we see a return of seamless neighbourhoods? Will Sims get their cars back? Will we get online capabilities and be able to visit other players' worlds? Will we get open world style exploration and be able to see them in first person? And maybe even the ability to slow down time? We want to experience more things with our Sims and not just have them enter a rabbit hole and have to wait for them to return. We want more and bigger plots to build on. More power given to the player in terms of what we can build and where we can place the items. And most importantly, we want realistic Sims with realistic emotions and interactions. Let's face it, we basically want Earth 2.0. What will we actually get? Only time will tell. But for now, I am more than happy ordering a few cocktails, dipping my feet in the water and sunbathing on one of Solani's many tranquil beaches. And I can't see that changing anytime soon. Thanks for watching. If you're a Sims fan or just a gaming geek like me, please subscribe to my channel. I really do need more subscribers. Like this video and let me know what other games you'd like to see me cover. Until next time, please stay safe and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.